What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. I'm your host, Will Ferrero. Today, I spoke with Waldry Marte, or as people know him now, Marte Money. Waldry is now the sales manager at Cross Country Mortgage, where he oversees a team of 5 loan officers, and he gets into all the different things about what it's like to oversee a team, what it's like to find the right loan for somebody, and what it's like to develop a client base. He's done so much when it comes to networking and caring for his client base and making sure that they're taken care of the right way. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. What's going on, Waldry? Good to see you, man.
All right, Will, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about you and what you do today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate
So
it.
yeah, so just to get started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you work and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Waldry Marte, also known now as Marte Money is the new tagline that we're we're branching on. I specialize in doing mortgages with Cross Country Mortgage. We
Okay.
have full staff doing every single type of residential loans.
All right. So
You
where
know.
where did Marte Money come from, and where you putting that out right now?
Yeah, so Marte Money, I guess, is just a catchy way to just, brand myself, and it kind of just rhymes with my last name. Marte Money sounds good, double M,
There you
like
go.
Eminem. I'm branding it everywhere. I mean, wherever I'm posting on social media, the things that I'm doing, outreaching to different, platforms. We're looking to just be that Marte Money, being that source that people go to when they're thinking about money. They're thinking about, working with Waldry.
And people tend to remember the nicknames.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I called somebody recently who sent me a DM, and I was like, "This is Will Ferrero," and they're like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, on Instagram, Bronx Attorney. They're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, exactly. It works.
So it does work. Um,
Yeah,
on the podcast, we spoke with a lot of people who kind of, some of them own their own businesses, but then other ones kind of have this little business within a business where they might have to develop their own clientele. Is that the same kind of situation that you're in?
exactly. I mean, if you think about Cross Country Mortgage, there's over 2,000 loan officers,
Oh,
there's over
wow.
5,000 employees. So how do you become different and distinct so that way people remember the face, the name, what we did for the client to really, you know, stand out?
So is a loan officer and a mortgage broker the same thing?
Good question. So a loan officer is someone that is licensed to do mortgages, period.
Gotcha.
A mortgage broker is actually an institution or a company that brokers loans or places loans and applications on behalf of the client and on behalf of the bank. So, for example, if you think about Chase,
Mm.
they're mortgage lenders, right? They might have originators that work there, and they're just lending Chase's money.
Hmm.
Think about Cross Country Mortgage. We are a direct lender, such as Chase, but we also work with Chase and Citibank and Goldman Sachs and many other uh, mortgage lending institutions or investors that will want us to represent their money.
Okay. So loan officer is your title.
I'm actually a sales manager. That's my
Sales
title.
manager. Okay. All right. And so what do you do as a sales manager?
Yeah, so as a sales manager, my job is really just to manage the sales team. I have a group of loan officers that report to me. We're constantly making sure they have the tools that they need, learning new programs, learning new ways to talk to clients, doing dealing with the problems, right, that comes with customer service,
Right, of
and
course.
just always being available and just being a resource for our sales team.
So how many loan officers do you oversee on your team?
Right now, I'm overseeing 5.
Okay. And is the sales manager position something that you had to work your way up to, or you got hired as that, or something else?
Yeah, no, man, I come from the bottom, so I was
Okay.
I started interning actually at a broker shop back in 2016 and eventually got licensed to do mortgages. From then, I got hired a couple years later at Cross Country Mortgage as a loan originator or loan officer.
Hmm.
And so I've been here for 2 years now, and just recently now in January, got promoted to sales manager because the role was needed, and I'm always looking to grow and help other people. And I saw that I like to teach, right? I like to
Hmm.
mentor. I like to be a resource to people and just show them how to get bigger and better results. So I said, "Hey, man, I'll take the role," and I
Gotcha.
just kind of jumped on it.
So are you teaching more? on how to be a loan officer, or are you teaching more about how to bring in new business, or both?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, right? I think bringing the new business is definitely the more important part.
Hmm.
As a loan officer, you have many different jobs. I mean, it's like different hats. You're a
Yeah.
marketing guy, or you're a
Hmm.
sales guy, or you're an underwriting guy, or you out there, creating content. You're a content creator. You're gathering documents and taking applications, and now you're like a processor. So there's so many different roles that loan officer has to play in order to make sure that we go from a raw client or a raw lead over there to the closing table where we're handing them the keys, where the realtor is handing them the keys to buy the house. So it's literally so many things that go into it, and that's what we get paid the big bucks.
There you go. That's great. How do you liking the new sales manager position? And congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I would say it's challenging because you go from managing yourself and just making sure that you get the job done and that your clients are happy with your services and your job, to then managing other people, making sure that their clients that you barely know are happy with their services and their job as well. So, and also just making sure they stay motivated to get out there, especially in today's economy. What's going on in the market. I'm sure you've seen it in the real estate. The rates are extremely high,
Hmm.
highest they've been in a long time, and there's virtually no inventory. So the same 100 clients are fighting for the same property. I can't tell you how many times I've had different clients bidding on the same house,
Oh,
where I got to
wow.
tell my other client, I'm sorry, but my other client already offered on this, so I cannot give you the pre-approval.
Oh,
Or
it's a
maybe I could give you
bummer.
the pre-approval, but just so you know, you may
Right.
not win the offer because the other one was a little stronger. And I can't even disclose numbers or names.
Right. Right. So what kind of strategies do you employ to make sure that all five people on your team are having, satisfied, happy customers and clients?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about cross country mortgage is that we're a $60 billion company.
Hmm.
And they're constantly bringing out new programs and new ways to help our clients, such as, last week they just rolled out the home equity line of credit program, which is where you don't need to refinance in order to tap into the equity in your home. So say your house is worth 500,000, but you only owe $100,000 on the
Hmm.
mortgage, you have a $400,000 equity. So oftentimes you need to refinance, take today's market rates, and then get the equity out. So your payment's going to jump, not just because you're taking money out, but because the rates are so much higher they are now than they were perhaps when you bought that house. So now with this new program, the home equity line, you're able to tap into that equity with keeping the same first mortgage you had of 100,000 at, let's call it 3%, and
Right.
taking out a new portion, a second loan, and only paying money on that second loan at the new rate versus altogether the new rate. So it makes it a lot more affordable, and there's no closing costs. So it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
unique.
Interesting.
But aside from the program and such, we do mentoring. I
Okay.
have weekly calls with my guys to just go over, what they're doing, what strategies they're implementing, and overall, we're actually starting up a book. What do you call it? A book club,
Oh,
right? Where
really?
each,
Okay.
yeah. So we each obviously a self-help books on sales and strategies, right? Having to do with the work, and just holding them accountable is the number one thing actually that I focus on because you make yourself promises you promise to other people, but unless you go back and get reminded upon what you had promised for yourself, it's kind of hard to get it done unless you're extremely self-motivated like I am.
This episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast was brought to you by me, Will Ferrero. I'm an attorney at Prior Law in the Bronx. We primarily practice personal injury law, but we can help you with just about any legal issue that you may have. And if it's not something that we can personally help you with, we can connect you with an expert in that area of law. You can find me online on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. My handle is typically at Bronx Attorney. And if you can't find me on one of those social media pages, you can email me, ferrero@priorlaw.com, or call me at the office, 718-829-0222. And now back to the show. So what kind of books are you reading in your book club? Are you reading all the same book, or are you reading different books and sharing what you're learning from them?
Yeah, so the one book right now we're focused on is the Seven Habits of Highly Influential People,
Gotcha.
where they talk about the habits you need to form in order to influence, in order to be good at sales and what you're doing. and one of those habits is again the consistency.
Hmm.
You could do one thing huge, or you could do a lot of small things repeatedly, right? So it's like it's important to just have that consistency because it's like it's for example, right? Bronx Attorney, you mentioned it earlier. You have to repeatedly say Bronx Attorney and repeatedly market that name for people to remember it
Hmm.
instead of just doing one big ass like branding Bronx Attorney one day and forget about
Right.
it. You never mention it again.
Right.
So that consistency just so important. I think in every aspect of life. I mean,
Hmm.
whether you're looking to buy a house or you want to ask your girlfriend to marry you or you want to lose weight, you need to be consistent at the actions needed in order to achieve that goal.
Yeah, I've actually found that recently with my new networking endeavors. It kind of starts to snowball, right? Like if you go
Yeah.
to one networking event, you might not pick up, in my case, any new leads, new potential new clients, new cases, but you start to, I just joined your BNI chapter, and
Yeah.
by doing it, every week and then adding in maybe a second one, it's then you start to see results after you're doing it every week or twice a week. So I totally know what you're talking about.
I feel like nowadays we're so accustomed to seeing results or benefits right away just from having access to a computer in our hands at all
Yeah.
times, meaning a cell phone. So anything you need to know, you're asking Siri, you're asking Alexa, you're constantly
Hmm.
Googling,
Instant
and right away,
gratification.
instant gratification. And
Yeah.
because of that, I feel like our society is kind of easing away from constantly working hard at something because it
Hmm.
just gets done so quickly. And we some things get lost in translation, but we just got to go back to the basics, baby.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to plug away at something and not see immediate results, but the people who stick with it, are the ones that eventually might see the greatest rewards out of it.
You see a lot of turnaround and a turnover, I think it's called, in
Uh,
real estate.
hmm.
I mean, there's 100,000 loan officers every year, but ask me how many stay, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And because it's tough to stack like that, but totally get it. So tell me,
Listen.
who are you working with? Is it real estate investors? Is it first time owners? Is it people who are looking to upgrade to a bigger house, or is it all of the above?
Yeah, so Marte Money focuses on people that need money,
Hmm.
period. Whether you are a real estate investor, flipping houses, or building new construction, because that's what we need right now. There's no inventory.
Yeah, yeah.
Or whether you're a first-time home buyer going from an apartment, in the Bronx to a house in Yonkers, right? There's literally no limitation to types of people that I can help, whether they're self-employed, whether they're, foreign nationals, whether they're first-time buyers or investors or just looking to get informed. I mean, I'm looking to be a resource to everybody, right? I tell people, what do you do? I said, I'm a solutions provider in real
Hmm.
estate, in finance, right? We're looking to find a way to help those in need, because I feel like a lot of people are transactional,
Hmm.
and in fact, most of the clients that I service have been my clients for years because I build that relationship with our clientele and just become that resource to them. So anytime they think about money, they think about Marte money, think about how I can help them achieve
Yeah.
that goal. Because think about it, Will, or Bronx attorney, my bad. Think about it. Do you if you bought a house, right? Or
Hmm.
you bought a house recently,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So you would probably want to go back to the loan officer that you worked with when you bought that house,
Right. Hmm.
right? You don't want to jump around to another person and then in 7 more years another person,
Hmm.
because first of all, you already built that relationship, which is extremely important. And it's so hard to trust somebody with your social security number, with your
Yeah.
credit card information, with your
Hmm.
credit, with your life story, with your job and your tax returns and this. There's so many documents that we gather.
Yeah.
We really get personal with each
Right. Right.
client. And imagine having to jump to a new person every single time.
Yeah.
So we are that go-to person.
Gotcha. Is there a way that you approach your clients differently when they're, say, a real estate developer versus a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, great question. So the way that I approach all of my clients is holistically. And what
Hmm.
do I mean by that? You know, Going back to the transactional, I see that as a client, right? Well, let's say you're first time home buyer to start off with. You don't just need orientation on how to buy a house, but we want to make sure that you know how to build your credit, how to have savings, what to look out for in the future. Make sure that you have an account for retirement. Make sure you have your life insurance, right?
Hmm.
Make sure that you have all these different parts of your financial household intact. And we build that foundation, because if you don't have that foundation, the house will crumble. So that's what I say when I take the holistic approach. And then when I'm talking to an investor, I want to find out, how many houses are you looking to flip this year?
Hmm.
What kind of equity do you have? How are we going to leverage the money you have available now, so instead of just flipping one house, you're flipping five? How do I get you from one property portfolio to a portfolio of 30 properties? And then we go back to making sure that you have the savings, that you have the life insurance, that you have every other piece that will help the main goal succeed. And that's why also, why we're different, right? Because we take that holistic approach. It's not just, hey, how do I get you the house and I get paid and you have a good day? How do I get invited to your family barbecue is what I want to know.
So how are you doing that? Are you helping these people find other professionals that would provide these services, or are you working with the ones that they already have?
Yeah, Will. So I over the years I've built a vast network of professionals in every field, from credit repair to attorneys to realtors to, foreclosure specialists to all these different, right, contractors, etc. So by joining these networking groups, which you mentioned before, we
Hmm.
build what's called a power team. We build a team of people that we trust, that we want to refer business to, and we just goes round robin, right? Every
Hmm.
single, I'm here, but they need to still talk to the attorney, to the title company, to the realtor, to the contractor, to the credit repair guy that goes right back to me to get the loan closed again, right? So it's creating that team that you can trust and know that they're going to do right by your client.
Hmm.
Because as you know, right, if I refer you a client and you don't do right by them, it falls
Right.
back on me, because I
Right.
referred that client to you. And unlike many people nowadays, my name means everything.
Hmm.
So I make sure that that's taken into account every single time a client is passed on to another professional. So yeah, to answer your question, we definitely partner up with the right people, because I don't know everything,
Yeah.
right? And I will always tell a client, I don't know everything, but I do know who does,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'll put you in touch with the right person.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a great value in being able to, solve a problem that's might not be your direct sphere, and helping a client with another professional. So I think that's great.
I think it's a pie. If you look at it, it's a pizza pie. Let's call it. It's 8 slices. You know, everyone has to eat. I can't. And if you try to eat all 8 slices, you're gonna be so full, you're gonna feel sick.
Hmm.
So how do I help 8 people eat, right? And guess what? We're gonna get another pie together, right? We could do more together versus it's power of numbers, they say.
Yeah, yeah. I've never heard that analogy before, but
I just made that up. Love it.
so, when people are coming into your office and they're talking about, let's say people who are looking to purchase a property, what kind of concerns do they have, and what do you tell them to either alleviate those concerns or find workarounds? Like, is
Yeah.
there like a top three, concern that everybody coming in your door has?
Yeah, so that it depends, and that's a tough one, right? But I'm gonna do my best to answer your question. The number one concern nowadays is affordability.
Hmm.
Everything is extremely expensive, from
Yeah.
eggs, milk, car and milk, whatever, to houses, real estate, and gas, and all these things. So, I try to help people figure out their budget, the bottom line of where they're comfortable paying, and working backwards. Right, the problem is the budgeting, right? How much
Hmm.
house can they afford, and then the solution is working backwards. Okay, your maximum payment you could afford right now is $3,000. How do I get you to that? Well, $3,000 you're going to pay a mortgage of, for example, $400,000,
Uh-huh.
right? And then building on that. Another issue that a lot of people are having right now is the credit scores. They want to know, where the credit needs to be at in order to be able to get approved. And a workaround for that is we have in-house credit repair. We actually, run a simulator, and we check what it is the client has to do to get the score to that level that they need to be at in order to qualify. Right. And that's what's so unique about working with us, Marte Money, across country, is that we are always looking for the solutions for the client. I have clients that applied with me summer of last year and just bought a house recently.
Hmm.
So it's just constant communication, just making sure that they're following the steps, that we laid out for them in order for them to reach that end goal of buying that house. And a third common question is, how much money do I need to buy a house?
Right.
Right? As things get more expensive, the cost of a house get more expensive. The higher the down payment, the higher with the higher rates, the higher the out of pocket expenses, closing costs. So there are different programs that we have at Cross Country Mortgage to help first time home buyers either lower the cost of financing or to perhaps get them into a like a grant program with the state to help subsidize some of the cost of buying a house, or straight up telling them, hey, look, maybe right now you shouldn't be in the market. This is how
Hmm.
much money you need to save up. We're going to
Right.
help you get to that. Let's put together a budget sheet. Let's look at where you're spending money. If you have two different Netflix subscriptions, get rid of one. If you're not using Hulu, get rid of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just eliminating all these things. And there's apps out there, by the way, that check your bank statements to tell you, hey, where you're spending money that you shouldn't be spending. I
Right.
mean, I'll drive an extra 10 minutes just to get cheaper tank of gas. Right? There's ways to save money,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. So did you always know that you wanted to be in the loan industry, or if not, when did that come about?
I don't think there's ever been a person that says, I want to be a mortgage lender. I
You
think
don't think
every
there's
single,
middle school students that are fantasizing
nah,
about
bro,
being loan officers?
no way, brother. Uh, I'm gonna actually start researching that, by the way. But I remember one time there was a job fair. I think it was like freshman year of college or something, and they had a bank there. And I'm just like, why is there a bank here? Who the heck wants the bank
Mhm.
job? But it was actually for a loan originator,
Okay.
and highly doubt they hired anyone. But anyways, how I got into it, I wanted to work on Wall Street. That's always been that was my vision
Hmm.
growing up and going to college. I wanted to go to Wall Street, and I was studying accounting, and I quickly realized that that world is very different and intense. For lack of more precise words,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was not the lifestyle that I wanted. You know, I wanted to be able to do something that I felt good about, and I wanted to help a lot of people. And thinking about that, I landed a life insurance job. So
Hmm.
I sold life insurance and investments, and it was going well. However, it still didn't feel like the end goal for me. And I stumbled upon a mortgage company. They said, "Man, you're great at selling life insurance. If you sold money, you do a lot better." I'm like, "Sell money? I already sell money. When someone dies, they get paid."
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, "Nah, man, selling money as in selling mortgages. If you were to sell money, you make a lot more money." And he was right. I am making a lot more money now, but I also feel better about what I'm doing. You help someone buy a house that's an asset, and it's valued right away. You'll see the house that you bought. You see those bricks and the foundation. All this, you see it right away.
Mhm.
Versus selling life insurance, you only saw a benefit if the person if something were bad were to happen. And waiting for something bad to happen is not the best thing. Um, I mean, I think every insurance person goes through that, right? You only need insurance when something bad happens. So I
Mhm.
needed to get into selling money, but for something fruitful that you saw right away. And I fell into doing mortgages, and I fell in love with it, man. Real estate, I feel like is not a job; it's a lifestyle. A lot of my job is going out and meeting people, talking to people such as yourself, and networking, having a beer, and traveling to different conventions, and it's fun, you know.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be doing that if you were working on Wall Street. You'd probably be spending a lot of time on the floor, right?
Yeah, yeah. The market opens from 9:30, I believe, to 4 or something. However, after work, you got to go hit the floor and call the clients, raising money, and we're going out to dinners and doing all sorts of jazz that I don't need to do.
Did you always want to do something where you were attracting your own clientele and trying to build a book of business?
Like I said before, right? My what I've always wanted to do is help people.
Hmm.
Period. No matter what I'm doing, whether I'm building houses, selling insurance, or selling money, whatever I'm doing, I need to be leaving somebody better off than how I found them, because that's just how I am as a person, right? It's very important for me to help and get out there and really make a difference. So, um, no, I didn't know it would be this, but I'm glad that it is because again, it's very rewarding. I had a client in the office the other day, and they came to get a pre-approval. We were working with another mortgage lender,
Mm-hmm.
and they left them extremely confused because it is complicated, right? However, there's ways to make it attainable or understandable for the average person that perhaps didn't have that upbringing of finances, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And they cried. They literally cried when I handed them the pre-approval letter, and it was extremely touching
Mm-hmm.
um, because I felt like I did something good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that drives me every day.
So you mentioned networking a couple of times. What kind of things do you do? You know, I know you said going to dinner, having a beer, whatever, but like where do you find people to do things, or where do you find events to go to?
Yeah, so there's a not to bring up the Bible, but there's a Bible verse that says very short, those who seek shall find,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're looking for something, you're going to find it, whether that's trouble or whether that's something good. And in my end, I'm looking for places to network and build. And there's always other like-minded professionals looking to do the same thing because they want to get out there and get known. And so simply going on an Eventbrite or Meetup or Google or even Facebook,
Uh-huh.
they have different groups and there's different events all across the country at all times. I'm sure you could find one literally every single day of the week if you wanted to, and you could join different professional networking platforms where they're literally, you're literally meeting once a week or every 2 weeks or once a month, specifically to talk about how you can help each other grow your businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then we become, the mini marketing agents of that person. So now
Mm-hmm.
that I know Bronx Attorney, whenever I think about an injury, I'm thinking about Bronx Attorney, right? And
Yeah.
and me and you, and then whoever thinking about a mortgage, you're thinking about Marte Money.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes
Mm-hmm.
back and forth, and really one hand washes the other.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. But you can find it anywhere.
So when you got started with your networking endeavors, you just literally just went online and just typed in networking events and just started going to stuff.
Real estate networking events,
Oh,
right?
okay.
I don't want to
Well,
go
yeah.
meet with the local firemen's. Maybe I could find a client or two in there, but yeah, I literally my first 3 years of real estate, I was literally going to an event 3 or 4 days a week.
Wow.
And it was expensive because I mean I'm talking about crossing into the city and going to this
Mm-hmm.
place and having a beer or driving down to Jersey City. It just adds up,
Yeah.
But because of putting in that work, I was able to build build that clientele, build that network
Mm-hmm.
because they say your network is your net worth.
Yeah. Yeah. And so since you put in all that work, a few years ago, have you kind of pulled back a little bit more, or how did you change your networking strategy?
Yeah, definitely pulled back because you get busier as you know more people, the more your phone starts ringing more. So now you want to kind of stay back and service those calls. You don't want to just let them go by the wayside because was the point of building that, right? And so now I'm just focused on encouraging my teammates,
Mm-hmm.
on my team to go out and network and go meet with people and build their own clientele and their own book of business and hosting events. That's my main thing now. I'm now hosting events, first-time home buyer webinars and different workshops for realtors, and there's different places or events where people come out to me now versus me going to them to tap in and see the value.
Mm-hmm. What would you say your biggest success so far this year is?
This year, it's only May, man. I can't believe it's already here. Um, I think just becoming the sales manager has definitely been my biggest success. I doubted myself. I'm my biggest critic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I doubt myself a lot. And getting that position was a symbol for me, showing me that I really am. I did put in the work to deserve it, and that if you really work towards something and you just focus on the end goal and kind of become like a horse, you put on those
The
shades,
blinders.
the blinders, so that way you're just laser focused on whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, you can always do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. And it just showed me that I was focused and that I really worked towards it, and that I now I need another goal. Now I need to think
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you
that was
got
my
that
biggest
one so
success.
early this year. You have the rest of the year to figure out what you want to do next
Seriously.
year.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I want to be partner next year. I'm a partner.
There you
That's
go.
my new goal.
So what piece of advice would you give to somebody who might be, a couple years into their career and they kind of have figured out how to do what they do, and now they're like, okay, I want to go out and I want to, get some of my own clients.
Yeah. Good question. So you need to figure out um who is your ideal client, number one,
Mm-hmm.
and figure out who's in front of your ideal client so that person can refer you to your ideal client every single time they're in front of
And what
them.
does the ideal client mean?
Okay, yeah. So the ideal client means, who can you help, right? Who is it that needs your services? And what does that person look like? Where does that person hang out? What does that person need to hear? Why does that person need you? You
Mm-hmm.
know, answer all these questions so that when you get in front of them, they're like, oh my God, you're the person that I've been looking for. Like you asked me earlier, what are the three main issues that you're facing nowadays, and what are you doing to fix that, right? The credit, the savings, and out of pocket or whatever. I'm thinking about, okay, where can I find the people that need to be, positioned to be able to save money, to be able to make their credit get better, to be able to, find programs to help them buy a house. So my ideal client is actually not a first time buyer.
Mm-hmm.
My ideal client is a CPA. My ideal
Mm-hmm.
client is a financial advisor. My ideal client is a realtor, because
Mm-hmm.
those are people in front of the people that I can service. But if I just took one client, I did one loan. If I took a financial advisor, I'm doing business for life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they say, give a man a fish and they can eat for the day. Teach a man how to fish and they can
Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
life, or something like that. Same thing when I'm looking for my ideal client is that CPA, that financial advisor, that divorce attorney, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
constantly
Mm-hmm.
dealing with business that can be referred back to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great description of it. So,
Yeah.
if somebody's looking for money, whether it be for, that first home purchase, or they want to get into real estate investing, where do they find you?
Yeah, so it's so easy to find me. Marte Money on Instagram, Marte.money. My phone number is very easy to remember. It's 201-640-9700. Super excited about the number. I've had it for like the last 10, 15 years. And are on Facebook, Waldry Marte. I'm highly accessible. We have a team that is always looking to help. We speak multiple languages: English, Spanish, Russian, Indian, whatever you name it. We'll Google
Mhm.
Translate if we have to. Overall, again, trying to be that resource to the people that are looking to prepare themselves. A lot of people are reading articles online, and oftentimes it's not what that exact advice is for them, because
Mhm.
every single person has different finances, and even if you have the same job and the same credit score, it's probably going to still be completely different than your colleague.
Mhm.
So just overall, my biggest advice is, talk to a professional. If you want to have a happy marriage, you're not going to divorce attorney. If you want to know how to lose weight, you're not going to the biggest guy at McDonald's, right?
Yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to go to a professional that actually knows what they're talking about and can actually be valid to you.
Got it. Well, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming on the podcast. This was a lot of fun.
I really appreciate having me on, man. You're the man.
Talk to you later.
Take care, brother.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bronx Attorney Broadcast. Please like, review, and subscribe so we can help the channel continue to grow. And if you're interested in connecting with any of the guests, please let me know, and I'd be happy to make the introduction.